Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, good morning. Happy Wednesday, happy April 1st. Oh, this is April Fool's Day, but I'm not fooling anybody today. But we are going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart. We're going to continue to talk about hormone confusion because it's so rampant and it's such a topic. It's a topic that I understand that you have to repeat it over and over again. You know, one of my problems is that I will do a video, I'll do a lecture or whatever, and somehow I believe everybody saw it. I can't repeat it. And now I'm understanding that when you're trying to get over a concept, you have to repeat it several times. You know, so I try to come up with something different every time, but now I understand that sometimes the foundational things, you have to repeat it over and over again. And the reason why I think it's so important is because I'm starting to look around and look at, I'm starting to do TikTok and Instagram and Facebook trying to get this message out. And I see that the confusion is rampant. It's global. It's not a United States medical system problem. It's not because we have healthcare issues here. Even places that have universal healthcare, they're still confused about hormones. And I've been dealing with hormones for 25 years. It was confusing to me when I left my residency in OBGYN because I was taught just like physicians are being taught now. So I ended my hormone confusion 25 years ago, and it changed my life. If you see those pictures on the introduction of us going to Egypt and all these places, it's because we're living life without this turmoil of our hormones being crazy. And it's not because we're taking a bunch of hormones. It's just that we understand it. And we can manage our lives around it and do the things we're supposed to do. So anyway, without further ado, I want you to understand the cost of hormone confusion. And it's not just you, it's also physicians. I just got a message from a physician today and said, yeah, I've been looking at some of your videos and I get it. Blood testing is not good. It doesn't tell us anything, but they just don't know what the next step is. And that's what I'm trying to do for physicians and trying to do for you guys, that you know what the next step is. If this is not working, what can work? And I think everybody knows that blood testing doesn't work. But anyway, let's start with the slides. All right, the real cost of hormone confusion is not just about symptoms. It's about everything your life could be. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, my wife and I, we're in our 60s, but we are living life, trying to live life to the fullest. And I see women who are 25 and 30 who are dealing with hormones and don't know what to do. And it's on birth control pills, they're on antidepressants, all these things. And their life is suffering because of it, because you don't want to put your life on hold because you don't understand what is going on in your body. I think I can change these slides. Yeah. So what are the problems? You have all this unexplained fatigue. Why can't I get myself out of bed? You know, why am I so volatile? My kids ask me for something and it just irritates me, and they're not asking for anything demanding. Why do I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning? What is going on with my career? I probably am not going to get promoted because I can't do the work like I used to do. So, you know, what can I do? Why can't anybody give me any answers? Why am I asking people on Facebook to explain what is going on with me? Why am I so confused when I leave the doctor's office? Why do I try all these things and they don't work? So That's where all the confusion is. It's very expensive mentally, physically, financially. It's costing you in all types of ways. Now, see, most people and even the medical community, they're looking at your symptoms. Okay, so if they see anxiety and mood swings and brain fog, then it's going to be antidepressants or Vyvanse or something like that because they're only looking at the symptom, trying to get rid of the symptom, but the underlying problem is never addressed. So, what happens with medications, the longer you're on a medication that's covering up the symptom, the underlying problem is continually worsening because you have not fixed the real problem. This is just the end product. The actual problem is upstream. All right, sleep disruption, difficulty falling asleep, waking up at 2 or 4 o'clock. You're going to get Ambien, you're going to get Trazodone. All of these are just trying to cover up the symptom. And then you get the physical symptoms of unexplained weight gain and persistent fatigue. They'll do your blood count and they say, well, your blood count looks okay. And then they say, well, we're not sure why you're tired. Why are you gaining weight? So they look at everything looks normal. So then they begin accusing you of sneaking down at the opening up the refrigerator in the middle of the night, and you're not being honest about what you eat and how you're exercising. But those are looking at the symptoms. The weight gain and the persistent fatigue is all a part of this common pattern that we're going to talk about, right? And then we have so many people who feel like this tired but wired. And I tell you, this is an epidemic where people can't hardly get out of bed in the daytime. They push through the day. They finally start to feel somewhat normal around noon. They feel pretty good until about dinner time. And then when they should be winding down and going to sleep, all of a sudden they're wired. Either they have difficulty going to sleep or they fall asleep and they wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And this is, and so you get trazodone, you get some kind of Vyvanse or Adderall or something to get you stimulated in the morning. Again, those are symptoms. This, the problem is really upstream. It's usually stress and cortisol. You have a disrupted cortisol rhythm. So that's what it is. Until you fix that cortisol rhythm, you are not going to solve the problem by covering up the symptoms with some type of medication. Then there's the hidden costs that not many people talk about. The symptoms are only the surface. Beneath them, hormone imbalance quietly affects the parts of life that matter most. So it's not really about the blood work, it's not about the symptoms, it's about how your relationships suffer. There's so many people when your hormones shift, the relationship shifts, and because they don't understand it, because they're confused, they always are going to blame the person who is closest to them. That if they're irritable, it's the other person making them irritable. If it's low libido, it's because maybe I don't love you anymore. If his mood swings, is why is this person always triggering me? Why are they doing this to me? And that creates distance from people you love. And that makes it where you feel, where women especially, and when they're irritable and they fuss at their kids when it's not necessary, they end up being depressed and they feel bad about it. And then you get in arguments with your spouse, and then afterwards you say, what were we fighting about? How did we go off on this tangent? And what happens is you begin to try and hurt the other person more and more because you're being hurt, you want to hurt back. So all of this is is triggered because we haven't fixed the initial problem. So performance declines. It declines at home, it declines in your decisions that you're making, it declines in your ability to be able to perform at work so that you can advance in your career. If you're an entrepreneur, I like to deal with these high functioning people, these people who are really trying to make a difference in the world, make a difference in, in their relationships or whatever. And they're stuck because their hormones are out of balance. They have the desire. And when you can't fulfill that desire, or when it takes too much energy to do what you used to do, it becomes very frustrating. And now that's a stress to be on top of the stress that you already had, and then on top of the stress that you have because you can't perform in a way you think you should. That's what happened to me is that as an OB, at first I could get up in the middle of the night and 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and go and deliver a baby. As I got older, it became more and more taxing on me. And then I used to go out and speak and travel all over the world. And then that became taxing to me and it really burned me out. So I've lived this experience. I know what happens. All right. Your relationships suffer, your performance declines, and your joy diminishes because you don't have the energy to do anything outside of your obligations. So you just go to work, you push through work, you go home, you eat dinner, you clean up the kitchen, and you go right back and you do it all over again. So your joy, your ability to expand yourself, to have new opportunities and new adventures, you don't have the energy to do it. So your life is on hold, all because you have not fixed the upstream problem. All right. Okay. And it's not the person. Okay. You're not the person. People always say, I just don't feel like myself again. And then we get their hormones straightened and say, oh, I finally feel like myself again. And so it's not you. You are not the problem. Your physiology is the problem. And it's really not a problem. The physiology is reacting to the situation. And most of the time, the situation is that the person is under stress. And that stress biology, the changes that your physiology goes through when you are under stress. And again, it doesn't have to be a perceived stress. It can be any type of stressor, emotional stressor, a physical stressor, a just a stressor that you think up in your mind, you being worried about what might happen in the future. All of those, that stress physiology is causing these changes. If you can fix that stress physiology, then all of these changes will reverse. So you are not failing, you are not weak, you are not imagining it. Your biology is sending you a clear signal and it deserves to be read correctly. So here's what you understand. I want you to stop thinking of symptoms as something that needs to be eliminated. Symptoms are a signal that something is wrong. You just need to know what that signal represents. So if you know being tired and wired is a signal that my cortisol rhythm might be out of balance, then you know I need to test my cortisol. If you feel like that a week or two before your cycle, your whole personality changes, you need to understand that your menstrual cycle is out of rhythm. If you have gone through menopause and you know that that is a significant change, you need to see what that change represents or what those symptoms represent. So you need to do a test. So the symptoms are not the end all. The symptoms should lead you to the proper testing. So we take symptoms and then we guess what to do about it. Or that's what I used to do. So that's not the way to do it. Understand the physiology, and it's easy to understand. You can understand it. Physicians can understand it, but they've just been exposed to this alternative way of thinking and they have to think differently. And that's what I'm trying to do with physicians also. All right. So here's the problem. And this is what I was taught. See, you're fine, but you don't feel fine. See, what the doctor says is that your blood work looks normal and everything is within normal range and you are fine. And the doctor really believes that because that's what we've been taught is that if your labs are in the normal range, then you are fine. No, that just means your labs are in the normal range. And especially with estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol, they are looking at blood levels, and blood levels don't mean anything. And I'm going to get to that. So that is the problem. If you look in the wrong place, you're going to find the wrong information. And then if you give out that wrong information, it becomes confusing. Or even if you don't give out the information, but you don't give the proper information, that still becomes confusing because some people don't do the blood test. They just say, I'm going to base it on your symptoms. And those symptoms can lead you down the wrong direction if you don't do the right test. All right. So you leave the office with no answers. And this is what I see. I even see people take their lab work, show it to people on Facebook, and hope that somebody on Facebook can explain it to them. And to me, that's crazy. How can you go to the doctor, you do lab work, and then you leave there and feel like there's no answer? Or you get a referral that you don't need. I see people who have just basic hormonal issues and they're sending them to an endocrinologist. And I'm just going to be honest with you, an endocrinologist is not trained in gynecologic endocrinology. It's a whole separate book that we studied in OBGYN that the endocrinologist is not familiar with. I'll just tell you that. So going to an endocrinologist is really a referral that you don't need. If you have a thyroid issue, if you have diabetes, or you have some other kind of pituitary issue, that's what endocrinologists are for. But basic female physiology, that's for an OBGYN, and it's really for an OBGYN who really understands hormone replacement therapy. All right. So, or you get a prescription that masks the symptoms without addressing the cause. And that's what I've been talking about. And so you're being told you're normal, but what you're actually experiencing is fatigue that rest doesn't fix, moods that feel out of your control, sleep that never fully restores you, a body that doesn't respond the way it used to. And the gap between normal labs and how you feel is real, and it is not your fault. It is a part of physiology. It is just a part of how life is, and how, as you age, your hormones change because you're in different stages of life. So you are fine. It's just your physiology doing what it's supposed to do. When you understand it, then you can make the proper corrections. So this is something that I want you to definitely put in your head. Hormones are not confusing. We've made them confusing by not understanding it and doing the wrong test and thinking that's going to end our confusion. If you are confused and then you apply the wrong test or metric to it, it's probably going to enhance your confusion. And that's what I think is happening, is that people are being told their blood tests are normal, their hormones are normal based on a blood test, but it's not. And so they look at that test, they hear the doctor say they're normal and they've got fibroids and all of those symptoms. Those symptoms are still there. And now they're taking 4 or 5 medications, and then they don't like the medications. So then they go and get $100, $200 worth of supplements. They try all the supplements. You can't believe how many people come in my office with a bag of supplements and tell me about all of the medications that they've been on, and they're still coming into the office. Okay, I had a person on TikTok said that they've been dealing with this for 27 years and hasn't found an answer, and has been confused that whole time. Hormones are not confusing. We have made them confusing. That's the real issue. And we're going to end hormone confusion. This is my big, bodacious goal. This is my art of the impossible. I want to change how everyone looks at hormones, and how where everyone can stop being confused. Just like you're not confused about how to take your blood pressure, you're not confused about how to take your temperature, you're not confused about anything. You even know how to do a continuous glucose monitor. You put these monitors on your shoulder. So you have all of these ways to test things. And I can't believe that after 50 years, we're still confused about hormones. That's ridiculous to me. And so I want you to help end the hormone confusion. The only reason why I'm doing this is because a patient came in and asked me a question. I want you to ask your doctor the same question. Do you know about saliva testing? Did you know that that's the most accurate way to measure hormones? All right. Why this keeps happening: hormones are confusing. The way we test them are. Conventional medicine often uses testing methods that miss the pattern, context, and timing needed to understand what's really going on. Hormones are deeply misunderstood. That's what I've been talking about. Most medical training focuses on extreme hormonal disorders, not subtle functional imbalances that affects millions of women daily. Nuanced hormonal patterns fall through the cracks. That's what we're talking about. They're looking at major diseases. When you look at normal labs, it's talking about 95% of the population. The only way you can be called abnormal if you're on 2.5% of the high side and 2.5% on the low side. But just think about all of those people who were functioning at a high level and now they're functioning at a mid-range level. Well, that feels devastating to them if they've been running on this high level for so long. So now you can see this pattern if you test it right. So standard lab panels measure a single snapshot of hormone levels in the blood at one moment in time without context. This approach misses rhythms, ratios, and cellular responsiveness entirely. That's what I'm saying. You can't see rhythms. You don't see what the cell is doing. So it's really useless. And I want to get across is that don't even pay for blood testing labs that if they're looking at your hormones. If they're looking for estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and testosterone and cortisol, is really a waste of your money. So it's not even worth it. Some person said they paid $600 for their blood labs and they walked out as confused as they were before. So I want you to have the right information so you can make the right decisions. So normal ranges are misleading. Normal lab ranges are built from population averages, not from what's optimal for you. Being within range doesn't mean you're thriving. That's why I'm talking about that bell-shaped curve, is that you could have lived your whole life at that high normal range. And now you're at normal or low normal, and that feels like a whole different person to you. You just can't even imagine how you could be this way. Well, it's because of long-term stressors doing that. So anyway, that's how that goes. Okay. See, there is a fundamental flaw in the system. Here's something most doctors won't tell you, but because it's not because they aren't trained to think this way, okay? Because most aren't trained to think this way. This is what is going on. So, what blood tests measure? Standard blood panels capture the amount of hormones circulating in your bloodstream at a single point in time. So, it's just, I call it the FedEx truck. It's just going around delivering things where it's supposed to deliver it. So counting the number of FedEx trucks does not tell you how many packages got delivered and brought into the house. And the house is the cell. So how many of those packages came into the house and am I using? And do I have the right balance between estrogen packages and progesterone packages? That's what saliva test tells you, is how much of the hormone is in the house that I can use it. It does. I don't care how many FedEx trucks are rolling around. How much is it that how much of this can I use? All right. So what they miss entirely is hormone action. How well your cells are actually receiving or responding to the hormone signals is invisible to standard blood tests. You can have normal levels and still have real measurable problems. You just have to measure them in the right way. So a blood test showing normal estrogen is like measuring how loud your phone speaker is, but never checking whether it's actually connected to the call. Because you don't you're checking the speaker, but you don't know what's speaking on the other end. Is it someone that is telling you the truth, or is it giving you some type of false information? Is it a phone scam? Okay. All right. So, and you really don't have 10 problems. Okay, when you say, okay, I got fatigue, I got mood issues, I got poor sleep, I got weight changes, I got all of these, I got chin hair, my hair is thinning, uh, I've got all of these issues. I can't think. I got brain fog. Those 10 problems are not 10 problems. They're usually all caused by two problems. And that's what you have to know. Now, we wrote two books, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And The Stress Connection. Now, we learned it the hard way because the first book we wrote was Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And that was about saliva testing and estrogen and progesterone balance and all of those things. But then after 2 or 3 years, we saw that, hey, this doesn't correct everything. And then we started to understand stress. And we heard a lecture saying that 75 to 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress related complaints or disorders. And so if that's the case, that means 75 to 90%, 95% of the time, 75 to 90% of the time, if you look for stress, you're going to find it. And how you look for stress is doing a salivary cortisol level. So we do that on probably 95% of 90 to 95% of our patients because almost everybody is stressed. I don't care if you're 20 and you're stressed out about college, or if you're stressed out about are you ever going to get married, or are you stressed out because or am I going to get pregnant? Am I dealing with fertility issues? Am I going to get the right job? Are my parents okay? All of these things. You have all of this stuff going on. So that's what you want to try to avoid is thinking that you've got to tackle all 10 of these problems. So it really comes down to two patterns, and that will explain almost everything. So one is cortisol rhythm disruption. Cortisol should follow a natural daily arc. It should be high in the morning, and then it should taper off during the day and should be low at night. But when this rhythm breaks, you feel wired when you should be winding down and drained when you should be energized. So chronic stress, poor sleep, and overscheduling are common triggers. And I will tell you that I don't know when the last time that I did a cortisol rhythm test that it was normal when the patient first came in. And there's ways to treat it where we can fix it and it can become normal. But I'm telling you, if you have that pattern of tired and wired, if you wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you more than likely have a cortisol rhythm disruption. And remember, I told you 75 to 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related complaints or disorders. So I would think that it's a good bet that if you have these issues, or even if you're just showing up at anyone's office, it's a good it's likely that this is a problem. And most docs that I know are not doing this. And you can't just do a morning blood draw of cortisol. You have to do it in saliva, and that's the gold standard. Do it in saliva. You do it at 4 times during the day so you can actually see that rhythm. It's a rhythm. Is it high in the morning and low at night? And you don't want it to be the opposite of that. And then the other one is that more than likely the issue is low progesterone, not low estrogen. And let me tell you why. Two things. Remember, if 75 to 90% of most visits to primary doctors are for stress-related complaints or disorders, well, that's 75 to 90% if they're a woman and they're still in their reproductive age. Stress causes a decrease in ovulation. A decrease in ovulation means that you don't make progesterone. The only way you make progesterone to balance out estrogen is to ovulate, is to make an egg. And cortisol and stress will disrupt ovulation. So that's why you can have irregular cycles, because 14 days after you ovulate, you should have a menstrual cycle or you should be pregnant. If you don't ovulate, your body doesn't know what to do, so you have irregular cycles. All right. Now, so if you don't ovulate, you don't make progesterone, so you get all of these symptoms because progesterone calms you down. So that's what makes you irritable. You don't have enough progesterone. That's what's causing your weight gain, because you don't have enough progesterone, because progesterone burns fat for energy where estrogen stores fat. So that's what's going on there. Now, so ovulation makes progesterone. So 75 to 90% of people have stress. But now let's talk about menopause. In menopause, what happens is that you permanently stop ovulating. And 100% of menopausal women will stop ovulating. So that means 100% of women will have a significant decrease or a total elimination of progesterone almost. So 100% of women have that. Now, with estrogen, even though you're menopausal, your fat tissue makes estrogen. So in menopause, your progesterone goes away. There's no backup system for progesterone. Now, your estrogen, none is coming from the ovary. So in the blood, it looks like you have none. But in the saliva, it looks at the estrogen that is being made in the fat tissue. So now you have a baseline estrogen. You see the progesterone is low. So I will tell you that 90% of the patients that I see, they have low progesterone relative to their estrogen. If you fix these two problems, the cost of hormone confusion goes away, because both of these can be corrected, and corrected pretty easily. All right. So all of those 10 symptoms, if I can't get anything across to you, hormones are not confusing. The way we test for hormones makes them confusing. It's simple to do this cortisol rhythm. You give us a saliva sample. We'll talk about that after the break. And then if you are wanting to guess what might be causing some of your menopausal symptoms or your perimenopausal symptoms, if you want to just guess, the odds-on favorite is that you're low in progesterone. And you can get progesterone over the counter, or I can tell you how you can get it. But if you just want to guess and you need some relief while you think this issue out, then put your money on progesterone. All right. It's not an estrogen problem. I can't tell you how many people you see on Facebook and whatever. I said, I took this estrogen and I gained 20 pounds, because estrogen stores fat and progesterone burns fat for energy. And I'll tell you, on TikTok, I got people saying, hey, I started the progesterone, I lost 14 pounds. That's because progesterone is doing what it's supposed to do, is to burn fat for energy. All right. Hey, it's break time. Let's go to break, and we'll be right back.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk 4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
All right, we're back, and we're talking about the cost of hormone confusion. Hey, Rebel, I want to play this. I want to play the song. Last week, I gave you. I let you listen to a song, and I've been working on this, and I've been talking about how I want to get this message across by any means necessary. And so we came up with a song called Hormone Clarity, the End of Hormone Confusion. It's kind of our battle hymn of the Republic, our marching song. So I want you to listen. I want you to see this. I actually I had someone make a music video, and I'm going to make some other versions with people who are younger and older. This is kind of what we say a perimenopause PCOS type of woman. So can you play that, Rebel?
Woke up 3 a.m. She'd soak right through that internal fire. Ain't nothing new. 1 minute calm, next I'm climbing the walls. This hormone roller coaster takes and it calls. Doc says it's natural, this shift, this change, but feeling like a stranger feels so strange. Cortisol rising, progesterone's low, estrogen loud, now the symptoms show. Hormone confusion, now I see the pattern. Progesterone low, that's what really happened. Hot flash rising, sleep all gone, now I finally know what's going on. Hormone confusion, no illusion, my body talking, this is the solution. Not just aging, not just stress, now I understand and I feel my best. Forgot my keys again, lost my train of thought. This mental fog, a battle hard fought. They say just relax, like it's easy to do when your own chemistry's working on you. But listen up close, there's a truth they miss. Blood tests normal, don't mean nothing's amiss. Patterns matter more than numbers show. Your body's been talking, now you finally know. Weight shifting slowly around your waist, energy gone, moving at a different pace. Mood swings hidden, patience thin, but this ain't the end, it's where you begin. They check your lab, say you're fine again, but they never looked at the pattern within. Saliva tells what blood can't see, now you're stepping into clarity. This ain't random, this is design. Your body's rhythm got out of line. Restore the balance, reset the flow. Now you're learning what you didn't know. No more confusion, now there's a solution. Understanding your body is the revolution. Balance restored, clarity found, now you're steady back on the ground. No more confusion, power reclaimed. You learn the system, you change the game. This ain't aging, this is truth. Your body was always talking to you.
What do you guys think? You can give me a comment or a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So I just trying to get the message across is that this is something that's identifiable. It's something that it can be explained. It's something can be understood. It's something that can be corrected. It's not a lifelong sentence. It's not something I had someone come in, they were 41 and they were talking about how they've been searching for this. And then I said, were you concerned that you were going to live the rest of your life like this? And they were like, yes. I had a person, you may have seen the interview I had with Quasi, and that was the deal with his wife. She's 26, 27 years old. She's like, am I going to be like this for the rest of my life? She was having issues after having a baby. And that's kind of what I see in this video is that these changes, having a baby, they change everything and they change your hormones. And you have to get that back in line after that stressor of being pregnant. So, Rebel, what did you think?
I like the video. I like the song
Yeah.
too. It's really catchy and it really makes you think about what the song is saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see the roller coaster running around. You see her sweating. That's a real hot flash that she's soaked all over. But women, I mean, I hope women relate to it. I mean, that's what I see. And then, at the end, if you go to my website and you look at the reviews, it talks about how you ought to see what the women are saying. They get the saliva test, they understand what's going on, and then they can go on with their life. They know exactly what to do. I've been in practice for 20, 30 years. I have patients that I've seen for 20 years. Okay. And so I even want to talk about the cost for physicians. The physicians are losing patients because they are they are propagating the confusion. And so they end up going to Facebook, they go to doctor after doctor. So if doctors understood it, they would be able to retain their patients if that's what they're trying to do. So balance matters more than levels. A hormone doesn't have to be deficient by lab standards to be causing a real problem. What matters is how your hormones relate to each other. That's what I'm saying. How many hormone packages do you have in your house, and are they balancing out each other? The rhythm, the ratio, and the response. A small shift in balance can produce enormous changes in how you feel, function, and thrive. And that's what we say. Your body is all about balance. You got to think your pH of your body has to be in this really narrow range in order for everything to work correctly. Your body is a fine-tuned functional organ, and balance matters more than anything. Your body is always trying to restore balance. Your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, all they're trying to do is to maintain balance or homeostasis. And anything that you eat or if you don't sleep, whatever, it throws you out of balance and your body sees it as a stress. And so that's what we're trying to do is to get you to understand how do we measure and restore balance. Right. So the real cost of staying confused is hormone confusion isn't a passive state. That's why I did two videos, and I might do another video on this. And I'm going to do a video on what is costing physicians. And it's all of they're losing revenue from patients who have left and all of these things and the opportunities they have to treat patients correctly and keep them in their practice long term and not have them going around searching and searching for answers. So there's a diagnostic delay. Women are spend the average of several years seeking answers before a hormonal root cause is identified. And here's what happens. Because they don't know the root cause, I just heard a lady, I was doing my TikTok live last night. She's having her second hysterectomy, I'm sorry, her second myomectomy. So they removed fibroids once, and now I think it's 3 or 4 years later, and they're removing them again. Well, what was the root cause? She was probably progesterone deficient. So if she had known that after the first surgery, she would have taken steps to prevent the second surgery. But because we don't understand it and the doctor didn't explain that to her, now she's doing her second myomectomy. How many hysterectomies could you avoid? How many surgeries could you avoid? How many breast biopsies could you avoid? How many abnormal mammograms could you avoid if you balanced estrogen and progesterone and you realize that? So then you spent all types of money on those copays on those visits, or maybe you had to pay out of pocket, or then you ended up going to some acupuncturist or some other alternative therapy, and so that cost you money and that may have helped some, but it still didn't fix that upstream problem. So all of this causes delays, and the longer you delay it, the harder it is to correct the problem. Okay, the bigger the fibroid gets, the worse the cancer gets, whatever. So you don't want to delay it. So there's a real cost. So supplement, specialist visits, therapists, treatments that address symptoms without the root cause, and then missed opportunities. Hey, I told you about, we started going and traveling and things. Well, if you're too tired to even think about planning a trip or to enjoy yourself on the trip, all of these life experiences that you miss, all of the connections that you may have had, and then because of your irritability or your fatigue or your inability to get out of bed and to have some kind of social connection, then that's costing you joy, and it's a real physiological problem. Loneliness affects your physiology, and I could do a whole lecture on that. So you want to be a part of a social group. So you get fatigue, brain fog, and emotional depletion. You can't find joy in anything, and people call it depression. Okay, but really, it's hormone issues, it's cortisol issues, it's neurotransmitter issues. We just lump it as depression, but they all have physiologic cost. And when you understand the physiology, then you can decrease the cost. So we talked about long-term health costs, chronic inflammation, cardiovascular disease is enhanced because when you have too much estrogen and storing fat, what that does, that increase in fat storage is causing insulin resistance. Insulin resistance causes chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation can lead to cardiovascular disease. And then you have worried about cognitive decline and bone density loss. All of this is due to the lack of clarity about how hormones work and how they affect you. So there's long-term health costs, just like I'm talking about the lady who's having two myomectomies, where they're removing the fibroids and leaving the uterus. That uterus is still under the influence of too much estrogen that's making things grow. So it can grow endometriosis, fibroids, polyps, breast masses. So all of these cost you long term. So the shift and change. Instead, stop guessing, stop cycling through elimination diets and random supplements and symptom by symptom fixes. Stop accepting your labs are normal as a final answer. Stop wondering if it's stress, age, or just who you are. You can start understanding, learning how your hormonal system actually works, starts asking better questions, start connecting your symptoms to their physiologic roots, and taking targeted information action based on real understanding. So, yes, you can understand this. Okay. You can understand it. So, the cost of confusion is enormous. I hope I've gotten that across to you. The cost of clarity is minimal. Okay. It doesn't, I tell you, clarity can be free. All right. We have something called a root cause assessment that if you DM me or put in the comment ROT, I'll send you the root cause assessment. Excuse me. The root cause assessment will ask you questions about your symptoms, and it will tell you, okay, this is primarily a female hormone problem. And it will direct you to using progesterone cream. And we have a whole explanation there, why you use it, how you use it. Everything is there. Then it can say, okay, no, this is mostly stress related. And so there we have a package that has adrenocare glandular serencom, and it helps to normalize that curve. Or it may say you have a primary inflammation problem, and most inflammation starts with the gut. So we have a gut repair program. It'll lead you right to it. And then some people, it's a neurotransmitter imbalance. They just don't have enough of the building blocks to balance out their nervous system. So we have something called Amino Restore that can help with that. So you can understand it without anything. You want to know the root cause. So we have something called a root cause assessment. You can actually find it in that all of my links there are, again, if you DM me or if you put in a comment and say root, or just send me the root cause assessment, or you can go in that all of my links in my Stan store, and it's Stan STAN dot store STORE .com/the hormone doctor. And you can go there, you press start here, you'll get the root cause assessment, and you'll see all of the other things that we have available for you. A lot of free information. And if you want a saliva test, you can purchase that there also. All right. So let's go to the next slide, I think. Oh, all right. That is my last slide. All right. So that's what we want to. So do we have any questions? So please, hey, go to my, you can go to my school, but then I think I thought I had all my links in there. It's all my links and it's /EB Taylor. There he is. So go to all my links, all of my social media links, TikTok, Instagram. I do a TikTok live every Saturday and Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. And it's so interesting hearing the questions. And that's why I know this is a global problem, because we get people from all over the world on that on those TikToks. And it's really a problem that I am determined to at least make a dent in it. And so I'll keep talking about it. I need you to keep talking about it. If you want to download that video, just say video, or you can say root and video. I'll send you both of those. I'll look at all of the comments and make sure we take care of those. Hey, do we have any questions, Rabble?
Yes. One
Okay.
of the first questions we have is, where is the saliva test available?
That's what I was just telling you. Okay, so if you go to all my links, and there's something there called the Stand Store, and I think it says the Stand Store. Well, look, I can show it to you. I think if we have time. Share my screen. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Let me show you the store. Oh, that's the Hormone Clarity Anthem. If you want to look at that. So this is it. I'll show you. It's the Stand Store, the Hormone Doctor. Can you see this?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the address up there, Stand Store, the Hormone Doctor, and this is where you would find this root cause assessment. It's totally free. You can click either one of these. This is progesterone cream. These are the saliva tests. With the saliva test at checkout, you can break up that cost over the course, interest free over the course of 4 months. So you don't have to pay for it all at once. But look, that's the cost of Hormone Clarity. And I just need you to balance that with the cost of how much it has cost you while you're confused. This is how you can get into our school, where we have a lot of information. I post in there daily. So I'd love for you to do that. That's free. This is free. This is free. That's free. And then we have some drop downs or some downloads that you can do. So please go and you can look around. These are all of the things that we have been using for over 20 years. So we know the supplements work, and we know that the test really does what we're talking about. So let me get back to you and stop sharing my screen. All right, so great. All right, so we have another question, but yeah, that's how you can get anything that I'm talking about is right there in that Stand Store. It's the stand.store.com / the Hormone Doctor. So do we have another question? I see we have like a minute and a half
Yes.
left. Okay.
Do you recommend a supplement for inflammation?
For inflammation, I'll tell you, probably the best thing, if you have inflammation, you probably have a gut issue. So we have a supplement called Green Med that has stuff like aloe vera, it has aspergillus, it has glutamine, which helps to repair the gut, especially if you have what we call leaky gut. So you want to repair leaky gut. So we have a supplement called Green Med for that. That's in our Taylor MD formulations that you hear the commercials for. That's what's going on there. All right. So let's stop sharing. All right. So another question. We got like what, 50 seconds left?
We have about ish.
Yeah.
Question is, how long does it take to perform the saliva test?
Oh, you do it over the course of the day. You do it 30 minutes after you wake up, at lunchtime, at dinner time, and right before you go to bed. So we'll see this curve, all right? And we want to see if that curve is normal or not. So it takes, 5 minutes 4 times during your day, and then you send it in. And if you get the test, all the instructions are there. And if you go in that Stand Store and just click on it, you'll get, I have like 4 or 5 videos on there. One with me explaining the test completely. It takes me like 8 minutes. I tell you everything you should know. And then I have some more videos in there explaining why you should use saliva testing instead of blood testing. So just go there. Even just going to the store is an educational opportunity for you, even if you don't purchase anything. So just go there and understand. I'm all about getting you to understand what is going on and how you can figure it out and how you can correct it. All right. So I think we're done, right? Right, Rebel?
Real quick, the
Okay.
next question is, would you start with inflammation or fixing the gut first? Which one?
Oh, well, they're both one and the same. And this is what I would tell you. Take that root cause assessment and it'll help you decipher it. And so, yeah, go there. It'll tell you, hey, it's inflammation. This is what you need to do, or it's cortisol. So please go and take that root cause assessment, and that'll help you to kind of determine which way you should go. All right. And if you have any other questions, put them in the comments. All right.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us today.
Okay. All right. See you guys next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.